Alright, so the person above put a really great thought into our heads, which is, what if we had a Kryptonian Xenomorph? Now, this is a video that I made before, but let's explore it a little bit more. Now, Dark Horse Comic Books is one of the best comic book companies that I've ever read some dark and really gritty comic books for. And especially when it comes to the Alien series and just other books in general, they've done a phenomenal job. Now, something that I know Dark Horse for doing is a lot of crossovers, and here's one of them: Superman and Aliens, or Superman versus the Aliens. Now, under any normal circumstances, a Kryptonian that is on Earth in viewpoint of a yellow sun is definitely going to decimate a xenomorph. So the question would be, well, how would a xenomorph, or how would a facehugger get to a Kryptonian? Now, of course, this picture is from the movies, but let's put a little story together. Let's say that we know that Krypton was about to explode, right? But prior to that, they were looking for other planets to possibly inhabit. Now, at that time, no one had superpowers, so they looked at a nearby planet that happened to have xenomorphs on it, or the eggs. And as one of the personnel were looking around and making sure that it's an inhabitable planet, one of the eggs opens up. Now, in this circumstance, they just think it's a species while they're, getting ready to possibly leave. And to protect themselves, they didn't think what would happen would happen. And of course, in this situation, the worst happens. A facehugger gets onto one of those Kryptonians, and then the rest is the rest. But as you can see in that brief storyline, well, that doesn't really do anything, right? What I mean by that is that's basically a human being who then becomes a xenomorph. So nothing special truly happens at that point. So how would that xenomorph get to a yellow sun? Well, possibly they wouldn't, right? So then we're left with that situation. But there's an alternative situation that could produce something that is quite powerful. Now, in the Dark Horse comic books, they depicted Superman going against a xenomorph in pretty much a really weakened state. Now, let's take that same synopsis, but apply it with some more elements. Let's say that there's a xenomorph, and there's a horde of xenomorph, but also hatchlings that are going against a Kryptonian. It doesn't have to be Superman, but they are in their weakest state. Why? Well, we could say that there's kryptonite around them, or something of the nature, right? That allows a Kryptonian to then get hurt, right? And during the fray, during the battle, there's a hatchling that opens up, and then a facehugger gets on that Kryptonian. That Kryptonian is now, well, for lack of better words, impregnated with the next stage, which is gonna be a chest burster. Now, the chest burster is gonna have a really hard time getting through that Kryptonian, because there's still a sense of, or still a little bit of invulnerability, but they still get through. They have some of the trait from the Kryptonian, and now they're on a planet that has a yellow sun. What do we get? Well, we get a really powerful xenomorph. Now, shout out to LeftRen871 for creating this picture. So if we were to get something that normally would just look like a regular xenomorph, but let's change it for the sake of this fan-fictional story within this video, that it would look something like this: a really powerful xenomorph that has the traits of a Kryptonian and can absorb solar radiation and produce all of the abilities and powers that Superman normally has, or the rest of the Kryptonians that can absorb solar radiation. So that's just my thoughts on all of it. I know you just put out a thought, but I wanted to make a video because I love jamming about these things, right? But anyway, with that being said, this is Zen from Zen Multiverse. Put some questions in the comments, because even if there are questions or even thoughts, I would love to make videos that are in response to your thoughts and questions. Later, everyone.